morning, good afternoon, good evening. Strongman mentality is very strong in our culture. Our political culture favors a strong man and not strong institutions. It's amazing how again and again some people have fallen into that trap that we need a strong man. Here is one of Zimbabwe's opinion makers making that argument, the strongman mentality, as I call it.
Any government minister who becomes a millionaire after being to a government office is a thief.
That's true. That's very true.
There's no millionaire who becomes a millionaire through government salaries. I make that statement loud and clear. So this whole concept of democracy is a facade, the entertainment for the poor, to think that by voting a president into power, they've actually put a man in control. We need people like Traore, who wakes up in the morning and says, I need 3,000 trucks of road equipment on the road by tomorrow, and 3 kilometers from Ghana into Burkina Faso. They are there by tomorrow. I need a hospital there. I need an aeroplane manufacturing industry there. I need and you need to give a president power, the one who can decide, not the one who can steal, the one who can decide and make a change. We look at our countries. Look at Kenya, almost 50 years of independence.
60.
Look at
63 actually.
Look at Ghana, 63. Look at Zimbabwe, 40 something. And the roads that the colonialists built, we're even battling to repair them with potholes and etc. And you wonder, for the past 45 years, what are we doing? Here's the Minister of Roads, here's the Minister of Public Works, but they simply can't get things done. So what do you need? You need a leader.
Ben, any comment?
Good day to you. Good day to our viewers. You know, when he says this, I remember of a video that was done just after independence, and one journalist was asking, the population, random population, and he asked them, "What if Mugabe fails?" And there's this one particular lady that says, I don't want to think about it. And the rest were so very sure that he was never going to fail. He was going to deliver. If you were to ask the same question now, to say that, well, you refused to answer it and he has failed, what then? This is the point where we are at, and it's a very, very good question. We have failed as Zimbabweans, and we are seeing, we are seeing the symptoms of failure, where Mr. Mapunga is bringing to the attention to say, you are finding somebody walk into government with nothing, and whilst he's in government, all of a sudden he turns out to be a millionaire. To me, that is a part of a failure, because you have gone in there strictly just to go and enrich yourself. That is how I picture it.
Well, I think if you go into government or any civil service job, particularly in a developing country like Zimbabwe, and they become a multimillionaire, one has got to ask, where did you get the money from? Because civil servants, even up to the ministers, their salary is not enough to make you a millionaire. So you must have another source, unless you've got some other industry, some other company or something that you are operating, you will have got it only by corruption. So on that point, he is right. Most of our leaders have become incredibly rich ever since they got into power. And yes, the conclusion is very clear. They went into power for the sake of enriching themselves. But I think the other fundamental problem he's making here is to say then we need powerful leaders, people like Ibrahim Traore, who can wake up in the morning and say, I need this and that done. And he doesn't have to wait about cabinet meetings or anything. He gets it done. It's okay when you've got a leader who is looking after the people's interests. He's not accountable to anyone. He makes decisions and gets on with it. What about if that leader is the type who wakes up in the morning and says, I want to spend so many billions of dollars building my own mansion, buying my ministers Porsche cars, etc., whilst the country is going to the dogs. That is the problem that we are facing in a country like Zimbabwe. We cannot deny that our leaders have got dictatorial powers. Yes, in the case of Traore, he has used it for the benefit of the nation. In the case of Mugabe and now Mnangagwa, they're using them for their own benefit and their cronies. So how can anyone still favor this system of a strong man political system? That is what beggars believe here. As long as you have got a system in which there is a strong man, you cannot hold him to account. If things go wrong, you are stuck with him. If things are going right, like in Burkina Faso, that's well and good. But a nation cannot have a system that only depends on the toss of a coin, that you are lucky or unlucky. And that is what is the problem here. So to advocate for these strongmen institutions or systems of government is totally misguided, to say the very least.
And I do agree and with the way you put it, to say, a nation gambling. I mean, giving somebody absolute power is a very, very dangerous thing. Obviously, when somebody is starting out, they're not going to or just come out in the open and tell you, I'm going to be stealing your guys' wealth, I'm going to be doing this for my friends, and they're going to sell you a happy, good message, and then the true colors, over time you will start to see. You can get, for example, Burkina Faso went through a coup, right? They got Traore. Fair enough, he's doing a very good job there. Then you have countries like DRC that went through the same thing, and up to today they are fighting an unending war. You know, Zimbabwe back home, we fought for it. We 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 found independence. We got a strong man in Mugabe, and we had 37 years of horror, and we're still living the horror through ZANU-PF itself. You know, is that how we want to be dicing our lives every single time when we need leadership, or when we need leadership change? So I think, you know, in as much as, because we are desperate, we want to change, or we want to choose the alternative, I would say, you know, let's look at countries like Botswana that have been changing their leaders over a period of time. You know, what has made them successful? To me, it simply is strong institutions. They have built their fundamentals right from the word go. They have limited exploitation from those within power. They have made sure that those within power are accountable to the people. And if they fail, the door is wide open. You can leave. I think that gives the people the power, because they are the owners of the country itself and its resources. We own everything together. So we should be able to have a say. Fair enough. I mean, look, it's very easy to say Traore, but how many Traores do we have in Africa? And how many Mugabes or Mnangagwas do we have in Africa? You find out that we have more Mnangagwas and Mugabes than the Traore. That alone just shows that it's not even a fair dice, even if you're going to be dicing it. I wouldn't validate, you know, his idea. It works, but often it doesn't.
I think the important thing here is to have the common sense to realize that a nation, a stable nation, cannot gamble on we have somebody with dictatorial powers and let's hope he or she will be conscious enough to exercise that power to the good of the nation. The whole point of institutions is that you are safeguarding yourself against the eventuality that somebody will come into power and they'll turn out to be corrupt, incompetent, and tyrannical. You have to have your safety net. How are you going to stop them? How are you going to replace them if you do not have the institutions to do so? And that is the essence of the argument of good governance, rule of law. Yes, if the individual has the vision and is competent and is accountable to the people, they will come into office, they will deliver. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if the wrong person comes in, they fail to deliver, you have recourse. You're looking at a situation where you're saying, well, the next election, we are going to get him out. Whereas in the case of Zimbabwe, we are stuck with these individuals. Whether we like it or not, we have failed to replace ZANU-PF for the last 45 years. Even when our own regional bodies, SADC and the AU, have condemned the elections as flawed, Mnangagwa insists that the elections were free, fair, and credible. And he even dismisses those making those arguments as deja vu. We are stuck with Mnangagwa because we failed to produce a political system in which if a leader fails, we can replace him or her without having to resort to what we are seeing now. We had a coup in 2017, and it looks like we are building up to yet another coup. Here is Mnangagwa dismissing the reports of SADC and the AU.
Vana vakatuka ZANU-PF kana ini ndonyanyisa kufara kuita zvakanaka. Ukavona vavengi vako vachikurumbidza nekuchikanganisa, ukavona vachiti ZANU-PF yakaipa, farai. You are doing correct things for your country. Hongu takaita maelections edu kuna vamwe vaitaura zvisina musoro zvikanzi maelection anafamba zvakanaka ndezvavo.
You want to give your closing remarks?
Yeah, in closing, I would want to say at one point, Mugabe was the darling of most Zimbabweans out there, especially at independence, But because we gave him absolute power and we thought nothing was going to go wrong, he could never do anything wrong. We did not build strong institutions around us, such that if we did eventually make or go rogue, we could easily get him out of office. And up to today, we are living the nightmare. We created not only Mugabe, but we created this thing called ZANU-PF that has become a torment to most Zimbabweans out there. We have a chance to make things right. And the good thing about, and the most, the privilege that we have as Zimbabweans is that we have neighbors and friends around the world that are willing to help us. They have given us a way forward, a way out. But just like, your cattle, if you are heading your cattle, when you take them to the water or to the stream, you can only do that much. They have to go and drink themselves. So we as Zimbabweans, we have been given the choice to say, fix what needs to be fixed. Fix your institutions. Make them stronger. And you will see yourselves out of this mess. So the way has been given. The answers has been given. It is for us just to do our part. And nobody else will do it for us. It remains for us to implement those recommendations or reforms that are needed for us to ensure that we can finally have a meaningful say in who governs our country. And we can finally have leaders that are accountable to us. So we may say, SADC and AU, they have left everything. No, that is not true. They have given us a way. We have to show the initiative that we want to fix our country. And the first thing is by starting, by stopping ourselves from participating in rigged elections. And they have said that. So the onus, again, I say, it remains on us. Only Zimbabweans can sort out the Zimbabwe mess. Thank you.
My final remark is that we have got to grow out of this strongman mentality, because it is only because of that that we keep repeating the same mistake of thinking that if we replace so and so, we will be okay. In other words, the same trap we fell into in 2017, when we thought that replacing Mugabe would answer all our problems, solve all our problems. All we did was replace one dictator with another. And we are now stuck with Mnangagwa. We want strong institutions. We want free, fair, and credible elections, so that whoever gets into power is elected by the people in a free, fair, and credible elections. No one should be above the law, and no one should be above democratic accountability. Yes, democracy can become cumbersome in the sense that you have got to go through cabinet, you've got to have the justification for everything you do before you do it. But that is also part and parcel of the safeguards. Because if somebody else comes in and they alone can decide what to spend the nation's resources on, and they decide to spend it on themselves and their cronies, then you're in serious trouble. One can only hope that people like Ibrahim Traore will quickly set up strong democratic institutions for that country. We don't want, or the people of Burkina Faso should not hope that if Traore was to die today, there will be another one like him with the same competence and vision. Because if they don't, and he has got the same dictatorial powers, they'll be in deep trouble. Whatever Traore has achieved in the last, 5 years or whatever, can easily be reversed in a matter of months if you have the wrong leader. And you'll be helpless to remove him. We don't need strong leaders. We need strong institutions. That is the essence of the difference between dictatorship and democracy and the rule of law. Think about it. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.